Few realize that the transition between life and death holds a mysterious and profoundly sacred moment. It's not immediate, it's not empty, but rather a process filled with spiritual meanings that defy our earthly understanding. For exactly 3 minutes, the soul crosses a sacred threshold, where the body still feels the presence of life, while the spirit begins its journey to another dimension. This moment is considered one of the most delicate and transformative for human beings, as it defines not only the liberation of the physical body, but also the first contact with the eternity that awaits us. The soul perceives the body's detachment as a wave of absolute silence that spreads throughout its being. The last physical breath is not just a biological phenomenon, but a profound sign of energetic separation between two worlds. The consciousness still feels deeply connected to the body, as if hovering in an existential doubt between staying or leaving forever. In this initial moment, there is a sensation of gentle floating, as if the soul were being gently released from its earthly bonds. It is a moment of profound contemplation, where the spirit recognizes that something fundamental has just changed forever. The physical body begins to cool, but the soul still feels a warm connection to this dwelling it has inhabited for so long. There is an immediate nostalgia for bodily sensations, the touch, the taste, the scent of the material life being left behind. The ceased breathing marks the beginning of a new way of existing, where air is no longer needed. The stopped heartbeat frees the soul from a rhythm that has accompanied it from birth until this sacred moment. It is as if an invisible cocoon has broken, allowing the true essence to fly free for the first time. During these first few seconds, many souls report a feeling of curious observation over their own bodies. They see themselves from the outside, as spectators of their own transition, without fear or despair, but with a surprising serenity. The survival instinct that dominated earthly life simply dissolves, replaced by a natural acceptance of the process. The soul instinctively understands that this is a natural progression, not an end, but a necessary and beautiful transformation. An inner wisdom awakens at this moment, reminding the soul of truths forgotten during incarnation. This first minute is marked by a growing freedom from the physical conditioning that limited the earthly experience. Physical pain disappears completely, replaced by a lightness the soul had forgotten it was possible to feel. Worldly concerns begin to lose their importance, as if they were problems from a distant past life. The soul feels itself returning to its natural state, free from the limitations imposed by dense matter. It is a moment of intimate recognition that the true nature of the being is much broader than the earthly personality. The silence that envelops this moment is not empty, but filled with a celestial music that only the soul can perceive. It is as if the entire universe is singing a welcome song for the spirit returning home. The last breath echoes like the final note of a lifelong symphony, setting the stage for a new composition. The soul feels a profound gratitude for the body that served it faithfully, recognizing it as a sacred temple that fulfilled its purpose. This is the moment when eternity begins to reveal itself, step by step, breath by breath that no longer exists. During these sacred minutes, the soul's perception of time undergoes a radical and extraordinary transformation. Time ceases to be linear, sequential, and limiting, transforming into something expanded, elastic, and infinitely malleable. For the spirit in transition, 3 earthly minutes can feel like a complete eternity, allowing every detail of the detachment to be experienced with an intensity and clarity impossible during physical life. It is as if each second unfolds into multiple layers of experience, each richer and more meaningful than the last. The soul discovers it can revisit moments, pause sensations, and expand consciousness in ways never imagined possible. The urgency that characterized earthly life simply disappears, replaced by a timeless peace that allows the soul to adequately process this monumental transition. There is no rush, no timetables to adhere to, just the natural flow of a consciousness rediscovering its true nature. The biological clock that governed the body for decades completely loses its relevance, and the soul experiences for the first time in a long time what it means to exist outside the pressures of time. It is an intoxicating freedom that allows for a deeper understanding of every aspect of the death experience. The soul can dedicate what seems like hours to comprehending a single sensation or insight. Before we move on, we want to feel the power of your presence. Comment below your name and from which city, state, or country are you watching us. Let's map this current of light and show how far our message is reaching. Write in the comments and let's expand this energy together. This temporal dilation allows the soul to carefully and thoroughly review its earthly journey. Memories that seemed lost emerge with crystal clarity, as if they had been carefully preserved in a sacred archive of consciousness. The soul can revisit important conversations, moments of joy and moments of pain, and understand the purpose and meaning of each experience. It's like having access to a complete archive of life, where every detail can be examined under the light of expanded wisdom. There is no judgment in this review, only understanding and integration of all the lessons learned during the incarnation. The space between seconds becomes its own universe, brimming with possibilities for exploration and discovery. The soul can delve deeply into an emotion and extract layers of meaning that remained hidden during physical life. It's as if each feeling has multiple dimensions that can only now be fully appreciated. Gratitude, for example, can be explored at its deepest roots, revealing connections with other beings, past experiences, and future purposes. The soul discovers that emotions are far more complex and interconnected than ever realized. It's an accelerated education in the true nature of human feelings. This temporal expansion also allows the soul to adequately prepare for the next stages of its journey. Like a traveler given sufficient time to organize their luggage and understand their destination, the soul can fully process what they are leaving behind and what they are embracing. There is time for internal goodbyes, for necessary forgiveness, for final understandings about relationships and experiences. It is a period of sacred preparation that honors both the life that has been lived and the journey that is beginning. The soul feels that it is being carefully prepared for its next phase of existence, with all the time necessary to make this transition with dignity and complete understanding. It is in this expanded temporal space that many people report the phenomenon known as the movie of life, an extraordinary and profoundly transformative experience. Images of important moments pass through the soul's consciousness with astonishing speed, but also with a clarity and detail that surpass any earthly recollection. It is as if each memory were a three-dimensional hologram that the soul can examine from every possible angle. The review is not merely visual, but involves all the senses and emotions, allowing the soul to fully relive each significant experience of its earthly journey. It is an instantaneous yet deeply detailed assessment of an entire life lived. This review does not follow a traditional chronological order, but rather an emotional and spiritual logic that reveals the deepest patterns of existence. Seemingly insignificant moments can emerge with surprising significance, while events that seemed crucial in life can reveal themselves as mere superficial details. The soul sees how small acts of kindness created ripples of positive impact that spread far beyond its earthly perception. Kind words spoken to strangers, gestures of compassion offered without expectation of recognition, moments of sincere forgiveness, all these acts shine with a special light in the review. It is a powerful revelation about what truly matters in human existence. Memories don't appear in isolation, but in complex, interconnected webs that reveal the intricate fabric of human experience. The soul can see how a decision made in youth influenced events decades later, how a chance encounter changed the course of multiple lives, how a moment of courage inspired others to be courageous as well. It's as if life were a complex book where each page is connected to all the others in surprising and beautiful ways. The soul understands that there is no such thing as coincidence, only divine synchronicity, orchestrating a perfect symphony of experiences. Each person who crossed its path had a specific purpose in its evolutionary journey. During this review, the soul also compassionately confronts the most difficult moments of its earthly existence. Mistakes made, harsh words spoken, opportunities missed, all are seen in the light of expanded understanding that recognizes the inherent perfection even in apparent imperfections. There is no self-condemnation in this review, but rather a loving recognition that each mistake was also an opportunity for learning and growth. The soul sees how its most difficult challenges forged its spiritual strength, how its failures taught it humility, how its struggles developed its compassion. It is a revolutionary perspective that transforms even the most painful experiences into sacred gifts. The review culminates in a profound understanding of the relationships that shaped the earthly journey. The soul sees each important person in its life not simply as separate individuals, but as companion souls in a cosmic dance of mutual learning. Difficult relationships are understood as sacred contracts for spiritual growth, while loving connections are recognized as divine gifts that nourished the soul during its earthly sojourn. The gratitude that emerges from this understanding is overwhelming, filling the soul with unconditional love for all who have participated in its journey. It is the moment when the soul truly understands that it has never been alone but always surrounded by a spiritual family dedicated to its growth and evolution. Even after clinical death has been declared by medical standards, the soul retains an extraordinary capacity for perception that transcends the limits of traditional physical senses. It continues to pick up sounds, voices, and emotions around the body with a clarity that often surpasses earthly hearing. It is as if the soul has developed an expanded sensory system that no longer relies on physical organs to function. The conversations of family members around the bedside, the whispers of doctors discussing procedures, even the unspoken thoughts of those present, all reach the soul's awareness with startling clarity. It is an experience that reveals the true nature of perception as a phenomenon of consciousness, not of the body. The soul observes family members crying or doctors attempting resuscitation procedures, but its perspective is completely different from that of its physical life. There is no longer the empathic suffering that characterized its incarnate nature. Instead, there is a compassionate understanding that embraces the pain of others without being consumed by it. The soul can feel the desperate love of spouses, children, and friends, recognizing it as a beautiful tribute to the connection they shared. At the same time, it longs to communicate its peace and well-being, initially frustrated by the inability to comfort those it loves. It is a moment of profound compassion, mixed with a growing acceptance of its new condition. During this period, the soul often attempts to communicate with the living, testing the limits of its new form of existence. It may try to touch a loved one, whisper words of comfort, or move objects to signal its presence. Some souls discover they can subtly influence their surroundings, making lights flicker, affecting electronic equipment, or creating thermal sensations that the sensitive can perceive. It is as if the soul is learning the controls of a new way of interacting with the physical world. While not always successful, these attempts reveal that death does not immediately sever all ties with the earthly plane, but rather creates a new modality of connection. The detachment of the physical senses is gradual and allows the soul to progressively accustom itself to its new form of perception. Initially, it may still attempt to breathe or blink, automatic movements that reveal how deeply conditioned it was by bodily habits. Slowly, however, these reflexes disappear, replaced by a more fluid and natural way of existence. The soul discovers that it doesn't need eyes to see, ears to hear, or a nose to perceive fragrances. Its expanded consciousness absorbs all this information directly. It is a liberating revelation that reveals how much the physical experience limited its true perceptive capacity. Paradoxically, as the physical senses shut down, the spiritual senses intensify exponentially. The soul begins to perceive colors that do not exist in the earthly visible spectrum, to hear celestial harmonies that no physical instrument could produce, to feel textures of energy that transcend any known tactile experience. It is as if discovering a completely new sensory universe, infinitely richer than the one known on Earth. The emotions of others are no longer perceived through facial expressions or tone of voice, but directly as colored energy fields that reveal the true nature of feelings. It is the beginning of a sensory education that will prepare the soul for the wonders that await it in the higher dimensions of existence. Have you ever wondered if there's something that keeps our soul connected to the body even after death? Many describe the extraordinary sensation of a cord of energy or thread of silver light that connects the soul to the physical body during those 3 crucial minutes. This etheric link is not visible to the physical eye, but is perceived by the soul as a tangible, pulsating connection that subtly anchors it to the material world. It's like a spiritual umbilical cord that allowed the soul to inhabit the body throughout its earthly life, and which now needs to be gently severed to allow for the complete transition. During these 3 minutes, this link still remains intact, creating a fascinating intermediate state between life and death, allowing for back and forth as if the spirit could consciously choose or better understand the transition process. This energetic tether allows the soul to experience extraordinary freedom of movement, while maintaining a secure connection to its earthly point of origin. It's like being on a cosmic spacewalk, exploring new territories of consciousness while remaining tethered to the mothership that is the physical body. The soul can depart from the body, explore the surrounding environment, even visit distant places, but always feels the comforting presence of this connection that can instantly bring it back. It's an experience of controlled freedom that allows the soul to gradually acclimate to its new condition without the shock of an abrupt and traumatic separation. This gentle transition reveals the inherent wisdom of the death process as a natural and carefully orchestrated phenomenon. During this period, many souls report experiences of controlled floating, where they can move freely through space, but always feel the gentle tug of the cord connecting them to their body. It's like a cosmic dance, where the soul tests its new powers of spiritual locomotion while maintaining a familiar reference point. Some souls use this time to say silent goodbyes, visiting significant places in their lives, observing distant family members, or simply exploring the new, expanded perception they now possess. The cord allows these exploratory journeys without the risk of becoming lost in the vast ocean of cosmic consciousness. It is a period of gentle training for the purely spiritual existence that lies ahead. The nature of this cord reveals profound aspects of the relationship between soul and body that remained hidden during physical life. It is not merely an energetic connection, but a two-way communication channel that carries information, memories, and essences between the two aspects of the being. During these 3 minutes, the soul can still subtly influence residual bodily functions, while the body continues to transmit its latest information and experiences to the permanent archive of consciousness. It is as if it were a final transfer of data between two computers before the final disconnection. This process reveals that death is not an instantaneous event, but a gradual transition intelligently designed to preserve the full richness of the earthly experience. As the 3 minutes draw to a close, the cord begins to vibrate at a different frequency, signaling that the moment of final separation is near. It's not a violent break, but a gradual, natural dissolution, like a thread gently unraveling when its function has been fulfilled. The soul feels a mixture of nostalgia for the security of the connection and a growing excitement for the total freedom that approaches. It's the final moment of conscious choice, where the soul can dedicate a few final moments to honor the body that served it so faithfully, expressing gratitude for all the years of harmonious partnership. When the cord finally dissolves completely, the soul experiences a sense of spiritual birth, as if emerging from a cocoon to discover it always had wings to fly. As the sacred time progresses, luminous presences begin to approach the soul in transition, creating an atmosphere of indescribable welcome. Spiritual guides or beloved family members who have previously departed emerge as radiant figures of light and love, emanating an energy of tranquility that instantly dissolves any residual fear or anxiety. These beings do not appear abruptly or frighteningly, but materialize gradually, like a gentle dawn slowly revealing the landscape. Their presence is immediately recognized by the soul, even though their forms may appear different from earthly memories. Younger, more vibrant, radiating a vitality that transcends any physical limitations they may have experienced during their earthly lives. It is a cosmic reunion that brings a sense of homecoming after a long journey. These guides present themselves with a loving wisdom that perfectly understands the state of confusion and wonder the soul is experiencing. They do not speak with words in the traditional sense, but communicate through direct transmissions of consciousness that are more precise and complete than any earthly language. Their messages arrive as instant downloads of understanding, carrying not only information, but also the unconditional love and reassurance the soul so desperately needs in this time of transition. You are safe. You are not alone. Your time on earth has been valuable and appreciated. These messages of love arrive like warm waves that completely envelop the newly liberated soul. It is a cosmic embrace that heals any residual wounds from the earthly experience. The guides begin to gently explain what is happening, offering personalized guidance based on the level of spiritual understanding the soul has developed during its earthly life. For some more prepared souls, the explanations can be profound and complex, revealing cosmic mysteries and universal purposes. For others, the guidance is simpler and more comforting, focusing only on what is necessary for a peaceful transition. There is no judgment in this differentiation, only an infinite love that tailors the communication to each soul's specific needs. The guides reveal that death is merely a change of state, like water turning to vapor. The essence remains, only the form changes. This revelation brings a liberating understanding that dissolves the last vestiges of fear about the process. During this encounter, the soul often recognizes loved ones who have gone before it, creating emotional reunions that transcend any joy experienced in physical life. Parents, grandparents, spouses, close friends, and even beloved pets appear in their highest spiritual form, radiating the pure love they have always felt for the soul, but now amplified by the spiritual wisdom they have acquired. These reunions are marked not by the sadness of separation, but by the joyful celebration of reconnection. It is as if a family that had been temporarily separated by different work schedules finally reunites at home for dinner. The soul realizes that it was never truly separated from these loved ones. It had merely temporarily forgotten this eternal connection during its earthly journey. The guides also begin to prepare the soul for the next stages of its journey, explaining that these 3 minutes are only the beginning of a much larger adventure. They show that the soul has choices to make and paths to explore, but that support and guidance will always be available. It is revealed that spiritual growth does not end with physical death, but rather accelerates in ways unimaginable during earthly life. The soul learns that this is a moment of graduation, not an end, a promotion to a higher level of existence where its true capacities can finally fully manifest. This understanding fills the soul with anticipatory excitement for the journey ahead, transforming any residual apprehension into a vibrant curiosity about the wonders that await it in the higher dimensions of creation. Deeper than any external court with harsh judges and harsh sentences, the spirit experiences an intimate judgment that emerges naturally from its own expanded consciousness. This is not a process of condemnation or punishment, but rather a natural awakening of the inner truth that had been obscured by the needs of survival and the social pressures of earthly life. Every mistake made, every questionable decision, every moment of moral weakness is relived not with shame or self-condemnation, but with the crystal-clear understanding that only a spiritual perspective can provide. It is as if the soul finally has access to the complete archives of its existence, including unconscious motivations, mitigating circumstances, and the intended lessons behind each experience. This intimate judgment reveals itself as a supreme act of self-love and self-knowledge. The soul discovers that it is simultaneously judge, jury, witness, and accused in this cosmic court of conscience. There is no hiding truths or rationalizing behaviors. Everything is exposed under the penetrating light of absolute honesty. Yet this exposure is not cruel or humiliating, but profoundly liberating. It is like finally removing a heavy mask worn all one's life, revealing the true face that has always lain beneath. Every action is seen not only for its superficial effects, but for its deeper roots in unhealed wounds, unresolved fears, and unexpressed loves. The soul understands that even its most grievous sins were often distortions of originally pure impulses, possessive love that became jealousy, self-preservation that became selfishness, force that became aggression. During this process of self-evaluation, the soul experiences a compassion for itself that it never felt during physical life. It clearly sees how the limitations of its earthly personality, the scars of past traumas, and the pressures of difficult circumstances influenced its choices. There are no excuses being made, only a mature understanding that acknowledges the complexity of human existence. The soul realizes that it often tried to do the best it could with the limited tools available to it at the time. This realization does not minimize responsibility, but rather places it in a broader context of spiritual growth and learning. It is a moment of deep and genuine forgiveness that heals wounds of guilt that the soul has carried for years or even decades. The most surprising aspect of this intimate judgment is discovering that the moments that seemed most insignificant during physical life often shine like the most precious jewels in the spiritual reckoning. A kind word offered to a stranger in distress, a moment of patience with a nagging child, a choice to forgive when revenge seemed justified. These small victories over human lower nature are recognized as monumental achievements of the spirit. Simultaneously, achievements that received earthly acclaim can prove hollow if they were motivated by ego, greed, or a desire for domination over others. The soul learns that true success is measured not by external standards, but by the expansion of the capacity to love and serve. This judgment culminates in a total and loving acceptance of the entire earthly journey, including its darkest aspects. The soul recognizes that each experience, however painful or embarrassing, contributed to its spiritual evolution in ways that can only now be fully appreciated. There are no destructive regrets, only deep wisdom about what worked and what didn't in the pursuit of happiness and meaning. The soul feels immense gratitude for having had the opportunity to experience human life with all its complexities, recognizing it as a precious gift that allowed for spiritual growth impossible in other ways. This is the moment when the soul truly forgives and loves itself completely, creating the foundation for its next phase of existence based on unconditional self-acceptance and the wisdom gained through direct experience. With the gradual separation from the physical body, an absolutely indescribable sensation of lightness emerges, transcending any experience of freedom known during earthly life. The physical weight that has accompanied the soul for decades simply dissolves. Not only the weight of matter, but also the emotional weight of the worries, anxieties, and responsibilities that defined earthly existence. It is as if the soul can finally remove a heavy armor it had worn for so long that it had forgotten what it was like to exist without it. This lightness is not merely physical, but multidimensional, a liberation from the limitations of space, time, matter, and even the limitations of linear thought. It is an expansion of consciousness that allows the soul to experience dimensions of existence that were always present but remained inaccessible during physical incarnation. This liberation unfolds in successive layers of discovery and wonder. First, the soul discovers it can move with total freedom, no longer constrained by the laws of physics that governed its material body. Passing through walls becomes as natural as walking through air, and the soul can instantly move to any location simply by directing its intention there. It's like having superpowers that have always been latent, finally unleashed for full expression. Gravity completely loses its influence, allowing the soul to float, fly, or simply exist in space at will. It's a freedom of movement that awakens ancient memories of how pure consciousness truly functions when unconstrained by a dense physical vessel. The emotional liberation that accompanies this transition is equally extraordinary. Fears that dominated entire years of earthly life simply evaporate like mist in the morning sun. The fear of death, ironically, is the first to disappear, revealing itself as an illusion based on excessive identification with the temporary body. The fear of rejection, failure, poverty, illness, all these terrors that motivated so many decisions during physical life completely lose their relevance. The soul realizes it was running from ghosts, fighting enemies that existed only in its limited perception. This revelation brings a sense of relief so profound that it is almost dizzying in its intensity. It is like waking from a long nightmare and realizing it was all just a vivid dream. The mental freedom that emerges at this moment is perhaps the most revolutionary of all liberations. Thought patterns that have functioned as mental prisons for decades are instantly recognized as artificial constructs with no basis in spiritual reality. Limiting beliefs about personal capabilities, worthiness of love, possibilities for happiness, all these mental constraints dissolve like ice melting under the heat of expanded spiritual understanding. The soul discovers that it has always had access to infinite intelligence, unlimited creativity, and a capacity for boundless love. It's like discovering that you've always been rich, but you've spent your entire life believing yourself poor due to faulty accounting. This sense of liberation culminates in a pure, spontaneous joy that springs from the deepest core of the being. It is not the conditioned joy of earthly life, dependent on favorable external circumstances, but an unconditional joy that emerges simply from the act of existing in its most authentic form. It is the joy of a bird discovering it can fly, of a flower finally able to blossom fully, of music that can be played without faulty instruments. The soul laughs with a lightness it has not known for decades, or perhaps never experienced during its incarnation. It is the laughter of absolute freedom, of the recognition that all the problems that seemed so monumental were actually disguised opportunities for growth. This liberation prepares the soul to fully embrace the wonders that await it in the higher dimensions of existence. At the end of these 3 transformative minutes, a vibrational portal opens before the soul that defies description based on earthly experiences. It is as if the very fabric of reality is gently tearing apart to reveal deeper layers of creation that have always existed beyond limited physical perception. This portal is not a dark tunnel or an ordinary doorway, but a luminous passageway pulsating with frequencies of love, wisdom, and beauty that make the soul tremble with reverent anticipation. It is a threshold that separates not just 2 worlds, but 2 entirely different states of existence. One where the soul was learning through limitation and resistance, and another where it can explore its true capabilities unhindered. The approach to this portal is accompanied by celestial music that seems to emanate from every atom of creation, a cosmic symphony of welcome. This vibrational passage responds directly to the soul's inner state, reflecting and amplifying its spiritual nature developed during its earthly journey. For souls who have cultivated love, compassion, and wisdom, the portal glows with a warm golden light that draws them in like an irresistible spiritual magnet. For those still carrying unhealed wounds, unresolved fears, or heavy regrets, the portal may seem less bright or even intimidating, not as punishment, but as an honest reflection of their preparation for higher dimensions. There is no external judgment in this process, only the natural law of vibrational attraction that connects each consciousness with the most appropriate environment for its next phase of growth. It is a perfectly fair system that honors each soul's free will and personal responsibility. As the soul approaches this threshold, it may catch glimpses of what awaits it on the other side, landscapes of indescribable beauty that transcend any earthly concept of paradise. These are not just external settings, but living environments that respond to the soul's thoughts and emotions, creating personalized experiences of joy and discovery. Some souls envision crystal cities that sing with angelic harmonies. Others see infinite gardens, where each flower is a miniature galaxy. Still others perceive cosmic libraries, where all the knowledge of the universe is available for exploration. These visions are not uniform because each soul has a unique journey ahead, designed specifically for their evolutionary needs and deepest spiritual desires. It is as if the universe has prepared a tailor-made adventure for each consciousness making this transition. The portal also serves as a final conscious choice point, where the soul can pause to fully contemplate what it is leaving behind and what it is embracing. It is not a pressure to decide quickly, but a sacred opportunity to honor the earthly journey that is completing and embrace the spiritual adventure that is beginning. Some souls feel a final urge to send love and gratitude to all who touched their earthly lives, creating waves of healing energy that can be felt by the living as inexplicable moments of peace or loving presence. It is a final gift the soul can offer to the world that nurtured and challenged it during its incarnation. This final exchange of love creates an energetic bridge that will maintain meaningful connections even across dimensions. Crossing this threshold is at once the most natural and transformative act a consciousness can experience. It is like being born into a new dimension of existence, but with all the wisdom and memories of the previous journey intact. The soul does not lose its unique identity, but rather expands it exponentially, discovering aspects of itself that remained dormant during physical limitation. It is the moment when the soul truly awakens to its multidimensional nature, realizing that earthly life, however intense, was but a small facet of its much vaster cosmic existence. This realization fills the soul with profound gratitude for the opportunity to have experienced human life and tremendous excitement for the limitless spiritual adventures that now open before it like a cosmic book ready to be read and experienced. Upon completing the 3 sacred minutes, the energetic link with the physical body is definitively severed, but not traumatically or painfully. It is like the gentle cutting of a newborn's umbilical cord, a necessary act that allows the beginning of a new phase of independent existence. In this final instant of separation, the soul experiences a moment of spiritual birth that is both an end and a beginning. There is no turning back now, no hesitation or regret, only a serene acceptance that this transition is natural, inevitable, and perfectly timed according to greater cosmic plans. The soul feels it is finally embracing its new reality, no longer as a temporary visitor in a physical body, but as a spiritual being fully aware of its infinite nature. It is the moment of greatest clarity it has experienced since arriving on Earth decades ago. This final rupture of the earthly link catalyzes an instantaneous transformation in the soul's perception and capabilities. Suddenly, it has full access to abilities that were latent during physical life: crystalline telepathy, expanded clairvoyance, the ability to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, and an intuitive understanding of the spiritual laws that govern creation. It is as if a computer that was functioning with only a fraction of its memory suddenly has access to its full processing potential. The soul discovers that it can communicate instantly with other spiritual consciousnesses, move through the cosmos with the speed of thought, and manipulate energy in ways that would seem magical from an earthly perspective. These are not new abilities being granted, but natural capabilities finally being freed from the limitations imposed by physical density. At this crucial moment, the soul faces choices that will determine the beginning of its post-mortem journey. Contrary to what many religious traditions teach, there is no single predetermined destiny awaiting each soul. Instead, there are multiple options available, each perfectly suited to the level of spiritual development achieved during earthly life and the deepest evolutionary desires of the consciousness. Some souls may choose periods of rest and healing in peaceful dimensions where they can fully process their earthly experiences. Others may choose to immediately return to physical realities to continue specific learnings. Still others may decide to serve as spiritual guides to souls still incarnate, or explore cosmic dimensions of pure creativity where they can participate in the formation of new worlds and realities. A soul's initial destiny is determined by a complex combination of factors: its spiritual state at the time of death, the not yet fully integrated lessons of its earthly journey, karmic commitments to other souls, and its conscious desires for how to continue its evolution. Souls who have cultivated unconditional love, genuine compassion, and practical wisdom during their lifetimes often find themselves in paradisiacal dimensions where they can further expand these qualities in service to all creation. Those who still carry deep emotional wounds or destructive thought patterns may gravitate to healing dimensions where highly evolved spiritual healers help them release these burdens. There is no judgment or punishment in these destinies, only perfectly calibrated opportunities for continued growth. Some spirits experience immediate peace and a profound sense of homecoming, instantly recognizing the spiritual environment as their true home, which they had temporarily forgotten during their incarnation. These souls feel overwhelming gratitude for the opportunity to return to their spiritual family and begin integrating all the lessons learned during their earthly adventure. Others may experience initial periods of confusion or disorientation, especially if their death was sudden, or if they held very rigid beliefs about what would happen after death. These souls are not abandoned or judged, but receive specialized care from compassionate guides who help them navigate this transition with patience and love. The spiritual universe has infinite resources to support each soul on its unique journey, ensuring that no consciousness is lost or neglected during this transformative process of death and spiritual rebirth. The mystery of the 3 minutes after death reveals to us a fundamental truth that completely transforms our understanding of human existence. Life does not end with the last breath, but gracefully transforms into a new stage in the eternal journey of consciousness. Every second of this sacred process is precious and carries profound lessons about the true nature of the soul, the continuity of existence, and the inherent perfection of the cosmic plan that governs our spiritual evolution. These 3 minutes are not merely a period of transition, but a portal of initiation that reveals to the soul its true identity as an immortal spiritual being, temporarily inhabiting a physical form for the purposes of growth and learning. Understanding this process invites us to live with greater awareness, purpose, and spiritual preparation, knowing that each moment of our earthly life is weaving the vibrational tapestry that will determine our experience in these 3 crucial minutes and beyond. When we embrace this wisdom, death loses its terror and reveals itself as a sacred graduation, a promotion to higher levels of existence where our true capacities can finally manifest without the limitations imposed by dense matter. If this knowledge has deeply touched your heart and expanded your perspective on the mysteries of existence, share this revelation with someone who needs to understand that death is not the end, but merely a glorious passage to unimaginable spiritual adventures that await every soul brave enough to undertake this transformative journey.